News tonight in the case against Florida neighborhood watchman George Zimmerman. According to a medical report obtained by ABC News, Zimmerman was treated by a family doctor for a broken nose, swollen face, black eyes, 2 cuts on the head, the day after he shot and killed 17-year-old Trayvon Martin. The new details could bolster Zimmerman's defense, which is that he killed an unarmed Trayvon Martin during a struggle because he feared for his life. State prosecutors say Zimmerman profiled Trayvon Martin racially and have charged him with second-degree murder. Paul Callan is a criminal defense attorney. NeJame is a criminal defense attorney and CNN legal contributor. And good to see both of you. Paul, I know we've heard about some of these injuries. Obviously, hearing all these in a row is more detail all at once, I think, than we've had. And it's also saying that he sought this treatment the day after this happened. How significant is this?
I think it's quite significant, actually, and the new thing here is we've heard talk about these injuries from family members of Mr. Zimmerman, but apparently now there are medical reports sustaining and proving the existence. And the most important one being, I think, Aaron, the existence of the broken nose, which would, the defense would say, suggest a frontal assault by Trayvon Martin on George Zimmerman and would support the self-defense claim.
And Mark, do you agree with that? Because obviously George Zimmerman did not actually seek hospitalization. I mean, is that something that would work against him in this case, or no?
No, I agree with that opinion. I think very simply, we heard this all come out during the bond hearing, actually. But now we have corroboration of the fact that there seemed to be genuine and significant injuries to Zimmerman. Now, what does this mean? It means that there's a greater chance than not that there was some measure of mutual combat going on. And we also know from what we heard in the bond hearing, and I'm anxious to see the discovery, that the shooting was at close range, gunshot, powder, and stippling. So it does seem like there was mutual combat going on from the limited amount we have right now.
Paul, I'm curious, though, all of this being said, doesn't it still really matter who started it? That if there's some way to prove that George Zimmerman started the entire altercation, that it wouldn't matter whether he was fearing for his life because he started it.
Well, yes, it's called the initial aggressor doctrine. If you start a fight and you provoke the fight, then you can't use self-defense. But this evidence would seem to suggest that if there was a physical altercation, Zimmerman was on the receiving end, not the giving end. And I just wanted to add one thing. There are other reports that the autopsy in the case of Trayvon Martin show lacerations on his fists and a gunshot wound to the chest. Now, if that proves to be true, that would suggest, obviously, that the fists were used to strike Zimmerman. So we only have part of the evidence here, and I don't want to jump to any conclusions prematurely, but I think the defense probably had a good day in terms of structuring their case.
Mark, I know you've been doing some investigating about the prosecutor's office, and specifically why the special prosecutor was assigned. Can you tell us anything about that selection?
I'm still puzzled by it, and we've been working on it, and I've been talking to everybody who will talk back to me. To this day, it has not come out as to what conflict of interest Norm Wolfinger, the state attorney for Seminole County, had. Nobody in law enforcement, nobody on the street, no lawyers, nobody has been able to state that. And then we find mysteriously that all of a sudden this is assigned by apparently the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, and the governor to the special prosecutor. Highly unusual. We don't know of any conflict of interest. We now know that the chief never met with the state attorney until after the indictment came in. So why would a case be removed from an experienced, qualified prosecutor, and then when he was going to take it to the grand jury, and then charges are brought? You know, there should not be meddling from the executive office with these type of matters. Don't know if there was, but we need to find out if there was.
Paul, Mark, thank you.